we rely a lot upon the female line to define who we are. And the father's line is, we also give a lot of deference and respect to the father's line because you are a child of your father's clan. And they're the ones that take care of you kind of on the spiritual side, and they also have the right to discipline you and things like that. So you have to give them a lot of deference, and you're always acknowledging them publicly when you're like, if you're doing like a feed or if you're doing like giveaways and things like that. You always acknowledge your dad's clan. Your clan fathers, your clan aunts, is what you call them. So in that culture, that life way, the clan kinship system is very much so still alive and very much so practiced on MHA Nation. And it helps to define your life all throughout your life, from birth all the way to the grave. We still practice things like our mortuary custom, which is affiliated with our clan kinship system. A clan father or a clan aunt will be the one who buries you, and to be asked to do that type of thing is a big honor. It's a big honor, and technically you're not supposed to say no. You're not supposed to decline when somebody comes to you because they're grieving and they're asking for their relatives to come and take care of this person who needs to be sent to the other side. So I've always loved that part about our lifeways and our customs, and the fact that it's so very gentle. It's a very compassionate custom. I always thought that and not being like a social scientist or anything like that, I think we do that as a means of taking care of the ones who are grieving. Because you go and you ask your clan father's family, and the clan father's family is the one who comes, does all the cooking, does the arrangements, make sure the space is made for like the wake and things like that, and also what we call a senior pallbearer is the one who stays with the person who's passed on throughout the night. And like I said, it's a big honor to do that, and it takes and it removes the pressure of all of that from the grieving immediate family. And I've always thought that's just so loving. That's a very loving custom, even and in as hard and difficult a time as like loss would be. It's indicative of how very close we were as people. We were very reliant upon each other and our family relationships to take care of each other. Like I'm sure you've heard that there's no cousins amongst our families. There's no aunts or uncles. You just have additional moms and dads. And for your cousins, you have more brothers and sisters. You know, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a fun thing. I mean, I remember just growing up like in Mandaree and looking forward to going to Mandaree because I knew I was going to see all my cousins, and we were going to go be running outside on sliding down the hill that's behind my grandma's house on garbage bags and cardboard boxes and things like that in the middle of summer, just down the grass and stuff like that. So it's because your cousins are your first friends, really. So my family is a large family. I come on the Baker side, at least. My dad had several siblings. His dad had 2 wives, one older, and then she passed, and then my grandma, Blanche, who is a young bear, so which is also another huge family. That's a huge, and they're a singing family. So that kind of got passed down through the generations. And my dad was one of the original members of the Mandaree Singers, which is a very well-known singing group in powwow circles. And then on my mother's side, she is a Mason, but on her mom's side, she's a Smith, which is another enormous family. It's an enormous family on Fort Berthold. So, and they're also a singing family. Her brother and her cousins, they're pretty well-known singers, and all the sons and nephews and stuff. So it's been a few generations now that they've all been kind of affiliated with powwow and things like that. And then there's also ranchers, there's cowboys, there's of course we're all Indians, but it just runs the gamut as to what everybody was affiliated with, how we know each other, and how we're tied together, you know. So we were talking about basketball earlier, and how a lot of people know each other through basketball, and Baker's a name that's affiliated with basketball too. So I mean, this is just all the circles that exist, at least in Indian country, and I think that's how we get to know each other on the various reservations as well. I mean, through powwow, through ceremony, through, you know, all of these different things that we're all these different circles that we're a part of. So it starts to become this enormous family, and that's how you kind of start to introduce yourself. Even, you know, you start like even when I met Mr. Bullhead, I asked him how he knew Tanya, my friend Tanya, who I play basketball with, and then, you know, that's his niece. So then you get that little, you know, like, oh yes, well, we know each other, you know, we know each other, and that even happens in the travels that I've had professionally. Like, people will ask me, because I get to go to all different parts of Indian country, and I lived in the Pacific Northwest for a little while. And my roommate was Nez Perce, and she would take me down to Lewiston or to the communities down there. And whenever I'd meet new people, they'd say, "Well, who's your mom and dad?" And that's just how you kind of build that relationship. And maybe they know them, maybe they don't, but quite often there was a lot of times where I would just be caught off guard because somebody from way far away would say, "Hey, do you know this baker who's in powwow?" And I'd say, "Yes, that's my cousin." So instant relationship formed. And I love that about Indian country, that we try to find ways to relate to each other. We try to find ways to make relatives with each other. So,
That's wonderful.
yeah.